This podcast is part of the Michigan Sports and Entertainment Podcast Network. Go to michigansportsandentertainment.com for more great podcasts.
Hey everyone, this is Austin.
What's going on, guys? This is John.
And you're listening to the Voice of the Fan Sports Podcast. All right. We're back. End of June, Michigan State episode. Wrapping up some recruiting notes and anything else that we can kind of scrounge up for this. So
we'll just dive right in. I'm not going to keep you guys here too long. Obviously, like Austin said, busy-ish month of June for Michigan State football recruiting wise. We'll talk about the new commitments. Who are some new targets or the same targets to look out for. And then I'll talk a little bit about the Moneyball Pro-Am that's going on that Spartan fans are well educated about. It's a fun time of the summer. You get to see the incoming freshmen. Guys like Miles Bridges come back and stuff like that. So shouldn't be too long, but we'll just dive right in, Austin. It's been a while since I've talked to you. We recorded the Purdue episode a whole 2 minutes ago. But like we ended the last pod with, I'm just ready to get into football season. This recruiting is a tease for everything. But still the gem of the class is Darius Snow, the 4-star safety out of Texas who committed in April. He's kind of been the vocal leader of the class, which Michigan State always seems to have. I'm sure every school does, but I don't really pay that close attention to everybody else's recruiting classes. He actually has shot back at Michigan fans, Austin, which is nice to see. A Michigan fan commented about when we got Cal Holiday, who we will talk about when he was not rated. Michigan fans took a jab at us getting 0-star recruits, and he went at them saying stars don't matter and stuff like that. So he is definitely ready to be involved in the rivalry. But we will go into who committed first in June, and I really wish Jack Olson the kicker would have been the first person to commit to Michigan State in June, so I could use the pun of him kicking off the month of June. But Kyle King had to be selfish and commit on June 14th, which actually Austin brought to my attention that he committed. I didn't even know he did. He is 6'4", 242 defensive end out of New Palestine. Is that how you pronounce it? Palestine, Indiana? You're from Indiana. You want to pronounce it?
Everyone here just calls it New Pal, to be honest.
New Pal. From New Pal, Indiana, Kyle King, 6'4", 242. Like I said, he is a 3-star kid. He, honestly, I didn't really know much about. Did Purdue even offer him?
Yes. So really what happened was he is kind of like he's a top player in the state of Indiana for the 2020 class.
Correct.
He was getting some looks. I think, to my understanding, Purdue wanted him to gain some more weight.
Gotcha.
To just get a little more size on him, and he ended up doing so, but I think that also kind of attracted some other people, and Purdue didn't offer him right away.
Gotcha. That could have been a big deal.
Right. So Purdue offered him when he came back up, but I think it may have been, I don't know when Michigan State came into the equation. But
I didn't hear of him until he committed. I didn't really, there's a lot of guys I've been paying attention to. He didn't pop up on the radar. I don't know if we were offered him late, to be honest, but he committed June 14th, and watched a little bit of stuff on him. I like him. He's talented. Obviously want to see his, senior year and everything, how that comes along. He's kind of the typical size Michigan State gets at D-end, weight-wise, which you will see become a trend here with the other D-end commits we got. He's a strong kid, it seems, especially for when he was a junior last year in his tape. Like Austin said, a top kid in Indiana. He really is starting off. He reminds me of Michigan State fans. I'm talking about Marcus Rush, who was a really good run stopper, strong kind of guy. Not gonna, be a elite pass rusher, but can sack the quarterback. I like him. Obviously, don't want to break them down too much because me and Austin have probably our favorite thing we'll do all the time is breaking down the class right after the season ends. So, but he's 981st in the country, the 49th position at his position, and like Austin said, he's a top recruit in Indiana at 7. So, he kicked things off in June, and following him kicking things off the next day, after losing out on the number 1 kicker in the country to Ohio State, boo. Jack Olson, the 3rd best kicker in the country, out of Wheaton, Illinois, committed to Michigan State the next day, who apparently, obviously not a lot of game-breaking tape on Jack Olson at the kicker position, but he can nail, like he's confident and accurate from 55 out, or 55, not 55 out, but from 55, between the 55 58 yard range, which Michigan State's never really had. Michigan State generally has the a guy who's accurate from inside 45 yards, but outside 45 yards, it's been a wild card since I want to say his name was Brett Swanson was here. So definitely exciting to have a kicker with a leg come in. Obviously, he's not going to be here this year, but he might honestly be the guy after. God, I feel horrible. I can't remember. Oh, Matthew Coughlin graduates this year, I believe. So he will be a name to remember. The next guy was, I believe it was Jeff Petrowski, who I think was also another one Austin pointed out to me, which, man, I was slacking early in the middle of June when it all started, but I've been jumping into it. Another D-end who's 6'1", 235. Honestly, another guy I don't know too much about. He's not ranked nationally. 54th in the state of Ohio, which is generally a deep state of talent, and is 66 at his position. I'm going to go look at his offer list here.
Purdue, I think he had a Purdue offer. I'm pretty sure he did.
Yeah, he had 18 offers. It looks like Michigan State and Boston College were the two main guys. Michigan State had all the crystal balls, but man, why is my phone's running slow? I guess I won't go over his offers, but I would honestly have to guess that Michigan State and Purdue are probably his biggest offers in Boston College. Have not had a chance to watch much tape on him. He's from Lakewood, Ohio, which I believe we've had quite a few kids actually come out of the high school we went to in St. Edward. So, honestly, anytime we get a defensive commitment, I am fully confident in Mark D'Antonio being able to turn him into a player. And I think that's rightful confidence. I think the defense is going to be as good, if not better, than they were last year, with that whole defensive line coming back and some more athletic talent coming in this year. So, obviously, anytime we add a guy to that defense, I'm confident in D'Antonio. The next guy, I believe, was... Oh, yeah, what? Okay, then everything happened. Cal Halliday, who was another surprise commitment. I remember DMing Austin about this kid. He wasn't rated when Michigan State, when he committed to Michigan State. He only had one crystal ball. He only has 9 offers, which alludes to what I think is his size is what scares people off. He's an inside linebacker who's listed at 6 foot 197, Austin. Not ideal size for a linebacker.
A little small, but in the tape that I watched of him, he is aggressive. He's a sure tackler. I'm not sure on how the talent is in Catawissa, Pennsylvania. Excuse me to all the Catawisians or whatever, or however you pronounce it, if I did not pronounce the city right. I went to Southern Columbia High School. He is now, honestly, probably our 4th, 5th best recruit in the class after he committed. Some scouts have watched him. He's ranked 760th nationally. He's the 27th best inside linebacker and the 4th best kid out of Pennsylvania. So, honestly, his other best offer would probably be Army. Yeah, kind of a quiet kid. Michigan State came in and offered. He pretty much committed right away. I don't even think he has visited Michigan State yet. So, obviously loves the program, and I don't blame him. I mean, Michigan State has a decent track history at inside linebackers. You got a preseason All-American in Joe Bocci there right now.
So he's going to be one to probably going to be a type of guy you don't really see till his sophomore, junior year. So we probably won't be hearing his name too much after we stop discussing the 2020 class. And then the 23rd of June happened, which was a big day for a lot of schools. I think that was the day before the dead period, right?
I don't know, actually. I am not 100% sure.
It was either that or the 24th. But who was it that kicked it off? Angelo Gross, who is a cornerback who went to the same high school, I believe, as Josiah Scott, who is obviously our star corner, one of the best corners in the Big Ten, if not one of the better ones in the country, who will probably be leaving us early this year. Out of Mansfield, Ohio. He is 5'10", 170. He's got really good ball skills, and he's solid in coverage. I think what turned him off from a lot of schools is his size, which Michigan State does not shy away from smaller corners, which is a perfect example of Josiah Scott. He was formerly committed to Cincinnati. Michigan State offered, and I believe he decommitted shortly after. He visited on June 21st, which was the start of his visit, and then shortly after he left East Lansing, he then committed that Sunday. So, obviously, like I said about defense, cornerback especially, kid that I like what I see. He's going to be a project when he comes in, but he's fast. He's really speedy and physical, so a kid who's going to be exciting to watch develop at Michigan State. And then it was Chris Mayfield, who another DN, 6'2", 250, might move inside from what I hear if he gains some weight. He had a Purdue offer, so Austin might know a little bit about him. But he's out of Hilliard, Ohio. Went to Hilliard Bradley, another school I haven't heard of, another low-key recruit outside of the top 1,000 nationally. His biggest offers look to be from Michigan State, Cincinnati, Purdue, and Boston College, which isn't a bad group of schools to have. I mean, Boston College, Michigan State, great defenses, and Cincinnati and Purdue. Purdue especially, up-and-coming program. So, which he visited Purdue, actually, on June 18th.
Yeah, I think Purdue was hoping that he would swing our way, honestly. So I think he'll be good.
Kid. I think the height has scared some schools off. 6'2", especially which I mean isn't small, but I think what do you think? 6'4", 6'3" is what people they tend to like on the D line. 6'5".
It just really depends. I mean, 6'2" is not ideal, but
it's not, like I said, it's not ideal.
It's I think it's okay. I mean, it just depends on what Michigan State wants to use him as.
Mm-hmm.
If he's got some speed to him, which I saw the 4.75, kind of bend the edge a little smaller to get your hands on as a big tackle. There's definitely been successful smaller rushers. So I'd say, yeah, I mean, 6'2", maybe a little worrisome. He, maybe they put him at linebacker, though. He might be able to play like a hybrid, rush the passer on third, but can play in space. So, which
honestly, you kind of gave me a perfect transition into the next kid with the linebacker pass rusher. Devin Hightower, who was the surprise commitment of the class so far. I didn't think we stood a chance with him. He's had big-time offers. Michigan offered him, I believe. He was a Pittsburgh lean at one point. He went to Pittsburgh, visited on June 14th on an official, and he did not commit on the spot, which kind of made people wonder, and he officially visited Michigan State on the 21st of June and committed right there, pretty much. So he's not a crazy highly ranked kid, but he's physical. Out of Akron, Ohio, I think we have more commitments out of Ohio this year than we do Michigan so far. So going into enemy territory with these, but he's a physical outside linebacker, can rush the passer. He's 6'1", 218, A lot of people like him. On the messaging boards, he was a big time surprise for, almost everybody. He had, he didn't have any Michigan State crystal balls until the day of commitment. So he was a heavy Pitt lean, who actually the head coach of Pitt is former Michigan State defensive coordinator Pat Narduzzi. So D'Antonio stole one from a good friend there. But he's honestly, Austin, probably easily one of my favorite kids in the class, even though he's not rated like he's, one of the top ones. But he's physical, which I love to see. I think he fits the scheme perfectly. And then the last to commit so far is Ricky White, who I think is extremely underrated. 6'1", 175, wide receiver out of Marietta, Georgia. He's fast. He can make plays. Sure hands. Just like most kids, is going to need to work on his route running. He has 31 offers, but I don't think he has a lot of notable offers. Let's see. Louisville, Michigan State, Pitt, Kansas. I guess that they have Les Miles now. But that's really it. Other than that, he's Appalachian State, Akron, schools like that. So a lot of mid majors, Cincinnati. I like him more than the higher rated Ian Stewart commitment that we have, who's more of a Felton Davis type. This kid's fast, can really be a big playmaker, I think, in the short passing game and create a lot of space with him. Just his ability to make people miss. He might end up being my favorite commit of the class. So I like his game a lot. I need to see him improve on some things as a senior, and obviously when he comes into Michigan State. Because, like Austin said on the Purdue podcast, there's no perfect recruit. But so obviously everybody has a lot to work on, but he is going to be a fun one to watch as well. And that's pretty much it for commits. Now, target-wise, there is some new names that are exciting. I wouldn't get your hopes up big time, but Laramie Constant, I think his name is, who is a top 200 player. He is a big-time running back who has kind of just, out of nowhere, Austin, come onto my radar when he released his top 4, and we were just kind of in it. Didn't know much about him actually even being interested in us. He has not visited the campus, but he does plan on, if I can get this to pop up, he's planning. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead. No. Well, I was gonna say, Michael Alamo hadn't visited Purdue at all and was a lock for Michigan State, and one visit changed it all, and it was an unofficial. So you never know.
Yeah. Why can I not find him anywhere? Maybe he's a catfish recruit. Where'd he go? But he's, regardless of his physicals and stuff, he's a top 200 guy that kind of speaks for himself at running back. Austin has a kid who's a stud, and he's ranked, what is he, like 214 or something? And he's
nationally, yeah.
And he's a stud. So he's definitely got some talent to him. The official visit's going to be in the fall sometime. I don't know exactly when, but just getting him on the campus. Because honestly, no offense to West Virginia football. They're a good program, but like his type of running, he's got LSU in there as well. I don't remember I think it's Oklahoma. That's the 4th school so other than those two are what the schools I'm really worried about. He has one crystal ball to West Virginia right now, but he's been interviewed. He loves the Michigan State blue collar, mentality, the type of program D'Antonio runs. He loves the physicality of it. He loves being held accountable for, and just he apparently loves the culture that Michigan State has. So hopefully when he comes here on his official visit, he is blown away. Michigan State has nice facilities, not the greatest. I think honestly Purdue probably has the nicest facilities outside of Michigan and Ohio State, from what I've heard.
We're certainly up there nowadays.
Yeah, so he I, honestly I'd say our chances with him aren't great, but they aren't what's the best
Dead?
way? Yeah, they aren't dead. That's the best way to put it. Yeah, there he is, Lammy Constant from Brooklyn, New York. I lied. He's not in the top 200. That is the cornerback that we are going after. He's the 245th player in the country, 20th at his position, second in the state of New York. He is a 4-star. Let's see here. Let's see if they have any. He's 6 foot, 186. He's kind of a home run hitter. I was wanted to see if he had any, 40 or anything time. 4.27 in the shuttle and a 32.8 vert. He's got 23 offers. Michigan State, Texas A&M was the other school. I think LSU kind of really scares me. Obviously, a big time SEC program. Kind of want him to avoid their campus. Texas A&M too. I mean, because Jimbo Fisher's there now, so he's a big time recruiter. So he's got those big time. Michigan's offered, Purdue's offered, but they don't need him. And they got Tyreek Murphy, and you guys might get that other running back, right?
Honestly, I don't know where we're going if we do take another running back because Tyreek Murphy is basically like the guy.
Oh, for sure.
I know. I think Cullen Coleman, who's a linebacker as well, was initially interested in Purdue being a guy, and then we had Murphy commit, and now it's kind of like, he might still come as a linebacker or just an overall athlete. But I think he's been trending towards like Northwestern recently because he's really looking into schools with good academics. And not to say Purdue doesn't have good academics, but, Stanford certainly has good academics. Northwestern, Cal, UCLA, all these programs that are well-renowned. So I'm not sure there.
Yeah, and, like I said, I mean, it would be a huge get for us. I mean, there's really no other big-time targets at running backs. There's guys here and there. Elijah Turner is a guy out of Georgia who's 6 foot 185, who is a running back, potential running back, a guy who I think will end up here unless we get a big-time guy like Lammy. But, I mean, at the same time, it's tough to say, really. I mean, we're still pretty early in the recruiting process. I think this time of the year is when you get a lot of the guys who have kind of been leaning your way for a while. So we'll see what happens there. Elijah Green is another guy who's a higher rated 3-star guy, 45, and then nationally is another running back they could be looking at. I guess quarterback is a position that I should probably talk about since we missed out on Chubba Purdy and Michael Alamo after pretty much going all in on Chubba Purdy. So we'll talk about that for a second. Michael Alamo was apparently a Michigan State lock up until he visited Purdue and pretty much committed on the spot. Kind of an annoying loss for me if what the rumors are true is that Michigan State kind of went all in on Chubba, which I don't mind the aggressiveness given that we still have Rocky Lombardi and Theo Day. But if you got a sure thing in a guy like Alamo, I mean, I guess who am I to question the coaching staff, right? Like if you are really that into Chubba and you can be okay with letting Alamo go, but I like Michael Alamo a lot, and Chubba Purdy came down to, I mean, honestly, he never even released the top schools. Chubba, that is. I mean, it was between Michigan State, Kansas State, and Louisville, who he eventually ended up committing to. Rumor had it that it was between Michigan State and Louisville, so he went Louisville, which, I mean, as a dual threat guy, Teddy Bridgewater, Lamar Jackson, not a bad school to go to for dual threat. Kind of a punch to the gut losing out on him. Why can't I think of the name that we're still going after here? I wish I could organize the targets positionally and make things a lot easier. Which is
you say he decommitted from North Carolina?
Yeah, that's the pipe dream. I can't think of
Malik. Is his name Malik Hornsberry, I think?
Yep, he's got offers from everywhere. So we offered late on him, and then he decommitted. I don't think that means because he wants to come to Michigan State, but I do think that gives us a chance to get him on campus. I think D'Antonio's. I mean, we got to get him on campus. There's no excuse not to. but he has offers from Alabama and schools like that. So I don't know. I pipe dream for sure. I can't think of this kid's name. I think he's a current Central Michigan commit. That we also offered a kid down in Texas. This is why I really wish I had my notes with me today, but work was a little crazy. But so they'll definitely, I think, get a quarterback. Caliber wise, I don't think you're going to get the high 4-star Blake Hornsby, like I think Austin said his name was, the North Carolina decommit. But you will get like a solid 3-star kid. I do believe we will get a quarterback commit, but I mean, honestly, I think for the future at the quarterback position, you can kind of take a deep breath with this class. I'm personally still really high on Theo Day. You still do have Rocky Lombardi. And a couple months ago, Austin broke down some film on Peyton Thorne for us, a kid that he really liked. So I think the future's safe for now, and you can you will really see the staff go hard after quarterback in 2021 because last class, the 2019 class, Dwan Mathis was our guy, decommitted, went to Ohio State, or he was originally committed to Iowa State, decommitted, committed to Michigan State, decommitted, committed to Ohio State, decommitted, now is at Georgia. So that is the definition of a kid who enjoyed his recruitment process, which, so be it. I mean, nothing against it. I mean, obviously it's a fun time for these kids. A lot of pressure too, a lot of stress. So, and then we got Peyton Thorne, who was a Western Michigan kid that I like. Austin liked his film, so we'll see how things go with him. The number one target I would say left in this class would be Jaheim Thomas, the outside linebacker who I've named before. Highly rated kid out of Ohio who was supposed to be a Ohio State lock and then kind of dropped the top 7. Like a top 7. I mean, it's crazy to think about. A top 7 kid, or not a top 7 kid, a top 350 prospect, 4-star kid out of Ohio releases a top 7 and has an offer from Ohio State and they were not listed in his top 7. We're there. I mean, his crystal balls are still 70% Ohio State, Austin, and they're not even in his top 7. So, his commitment's kind of a mystery. I think his top 7 was Michigan State, LSU, Kentucky. I believe Michigan was in there. He's got big time offers everywhere. He is 6'2", 6'3", 215, really quick off the edge. I mean, he is your traditional outside linebacker Michigan State. He won't be like a specialist or anything. I mean, he can rush the passer, but he can play in the gaps as well as Michigan State loves their linebackers to do. He is your number one target. There is one more guy I do want to talk about. I'm trying to find corner rankings so I can pull him up. Can't remember his name. He's not even in like our prospects list that we were in his top 6, I believe. A top 200 cornerback whose top 6 was Michigan State. Let's see. God, there's so many good cornerbacks. Give me a second here. Oh, God, where is he? There he is. Darian Green Warren out of California, which is kind of crazy to me that we even ended up in his top 6. Michigan, I can understand. Honestly, it kind of sounds like Michigan might be an up-and-coming favorite for him. He's good friends with David Long. Where did David Long get drafted to, by the way? Do you remember?
I do not.
Okay, no big deal. It was just a random question I had. His current crystal ball is a heavy lean towards USC, but he seems interested in coming into the Big Ten. He's got offers from a lot of Big Ten programs, including Oklahoma, Michigan State, Michigan, which I believe – I'm trying to figure out the other 2 teams in this top 6. But this is – Malik, that quarterback was a pipe dream. This kid is also a pipe dream. I would love to get him. I mean, love to get him, but I don't see us being able to woo him over schools like USC, Oklahoma, and Michigan. But you never know. I think Nebraska's in his top 6 as well as I'm not even going to say it. I don't want to misquote it, but I want to say Ole Miss. But he's got big time offers, and he's extremely talented and a kid I would love to have. I don't really. I think the only big name that you can not expect to get, but be really in the running for, is two guys, and that is Jaheim Thomas and then Lammy Constant out of the running back. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what changes with Malik Hornsby, the quarterback, if he does come on campus. So obviously we will try to keep you updated as best we can. The dead period is among us. So I don't know how much we'll be able to bring you guys and changing and stuff. I mean, really all we'll have to go on is message boards, articles, and crystal balls. Because I don't think there's any visits during the dead period, if I'm correct. Which is hence the name, the dead period. So before we let you guys go, Austin, any questions, comments, or anything you have on the Michigan State's class currently?
I think so. I think we'll continue. I think both teams kind of going for some blue chip
Bigger
guys,
names,
and
yep.
they definitely take a little longer than most. So
Yep.
I would
So we'll
say
see. I think
relax,
I
just
think
chill,
both
see what
Michigan
happens.
State and Purdue are both putting their eggs in bigger baskets this year, which I think are both slowly turning into doing because, Michigan State, especially defensively, is an attractive program, and Purdue, I think, is a really fun team to watch and a fun up-and-coming program. Jeff Brom is, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, he's, in my opinion, easily top 5, top 4, but arguably top 3 coach already in the Big Ten, and we all know the Big Ten has some big names in it. So,
Wow, is this the Purdue podcast or is this the
I
Michigan State podcast? I
well,
can't tell right now.
I love Jeff Brom a lot. I think, when we talk coaches in the Big Ten, I think you got two overrated guys in James Franklin and Jim Harbaugh, and I think Brom reminds me a lot of D'Antonio, not as how they coach, but just kind of guys who do a lot with less. And I think Brom's going to prove that this year. If you guys don't listen to the Purdue podcast, predicted they would win the West. Unfortunately, I do not think Michigan State will win the East, so I will not be making that hot take on this podcast. Insert the booze here, if you will. Unfortunately, I think Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, it's a little too deep for Michigan State coming off of. But, I mean, hey, if we can give me at least a mediocre offense, Austin, I think we got a shot with this defense. So
Something that could be better than last year.
Better than 13th in the Big Ten?
Just something watchable.
Yeah, I feel our first year of this pod getting Austin into the program of Michigan State, and he's just like, man, this is what John's been watching the last 10 years when Michigan
The
State.
defense is fun, and I mean, Lewerke did really well last year, so I was like, all right.
Yeah,
then
he came in,
quite pan
shoulder
out.
died, and he looked horrible, and so we'll see health of Lewerke if he's. Honestly, it's a big year for him. A lot of pressure on him. If last year was injury or if his sophomore season was a fluke, that him being good. So we'll see him come back, see how he is. I hope to God, for my selfish reasons and what I got to deal with every Saturday, that we can at least get first downs, maybe a couple touchdowns. So we'll see.
Nice.
Football's upon us in a couple months, and we'll get to it. I forgot, Austin, you do the same thing. At least you remember who we play opening night. I'm gonna look that up real quick. Football. I just know, buddy. Like Nevada, Purdue's a pretty fun opening night. I don't think we have a. Why is it so hard to find just a schedule? Oh, we play Golden. Oh, Tulsa, big game, baby. We play the Tulsa Golden Hurricanes. Friday, August 30th. On Fox Sports 1, so that'll be fun. Just to get the season going, a team that you can kind of just not beat up on necessarily, because Michigan State generally struggles week 1, which, as we all remember, the Utah State game last year, but Utah State actually ended up being in the top 25, so it wasn't as bad as we thought. Then they play Western Michigan. Honestly, did I DM you the road schedule that Michigan State has?
No.
I didn't. Okay, so they did release the top 3 hardest road schedules in the country. Michigan State's on there. We're at Ohio State, at Northwestern, at Wisconsin, at Michigan, and yeah,
wow.
I think that's it. But those are all top, I think, arguably top 25 teams. And Arizona State comes here this year. The second week got Western, Arizona State. So a pretty boring home slate of games, but a lot of big time road games this year. And Michigan's late in the season this year, November 16th, which is honestly, I think, the latest I've ever seen that game. So it'll be an important game. Other than that, moving on from football to a little bit of basketball. Moneyball is around the corner. Basketball recruiting, nothing has changed. The targets are the same. The Moneyball program is where pretty much the whole Michigan State roster is on like 6 different teams, I want to say. Michigan players are always on the rosters listed beforehand, and then they just never show up. I mean, honestly, can understand. Xavier Simpson is supposed to be there Tuesday. Isaiah Livers is not going to participate anymore, and the other kid, I think his name is, I've never even heard of him, who is apparently on the Michigan roster, is undecided. So, but other than that, Miles Bridges was back in town. Nick Ward was is still in town apparently. After we did not have the flashiness of a player getting drafted like Purdue and Carson Edwards. Congrats to him, by the way, going to the Celtics. Matt McQuaid is staying in town. He is on the Detroit Piston roster as it stands. He has signed a deal. He will be playing on the summer league team. Sounds like he has a chance to make the team. So, I mean, obviously, selfishly, I hope so. I will be the first one to buy a Matt McQuaid jersey if possible. Nick Ward signed a summer league deal with the Atlanta Hawks, so we'll see what happens there. But onto the current team, Xavier Tillman continues to impress a lot of people. He's apparently gained a decent amount of weight and muscle. He is now Austin. The Moneyball legend is we always have a big man that's there. Nick Ward was last year, who kind of shows out a little bit. I mean, it's really just pick up at. There's no defense at all. If you see any of the highlights, standing sometimes. So it's just fun for the fans. It's free admission. But Nick Ward last year was the 3-point hype. He was hitting 3-pointers. Xavier Tillman, who was starting to hit 3-pointers at the end of last season, there was a highlight of him sizing somebody up at the 3-point line and just pulling up and nailing it. So he is the big man 3-pointer. If he can have a decent, like just a makeable, consistent, like shoot 35% from 3 with how he's developed down low, it's going to be fun to watch. I think Michigan State basketball has a lot of hype coming into it next year, to say the least. I think almost everyone has them ranked number 1, which I kind of dislike, to be honest with you. I kind of like and being under the radar a little bit. But when you have a guy like Cassius Winston coming back, it's big time. He didn't really do too much in the Moneyball. I mean, obviously, I'm sure Izzo tells these guys to probably take it easy. You don't want any crazy injuries happening in a summer Pro-Am tournament. But guys that keep Rocket Watts finally is not on campus yet, but is with teammates and everything. I think people were kind of worried he might be going to Europe for pro ball or something, but he's confirmed he will be on campus in a week or so. There's some rumors that he's got to finish up some classes for high school or something. Nothing's really confirmed with him. He struggled, to say the least, at his first Moneyball game. He did not make a shot. He is the highest rated recruit coming into Michigan State. He even tweeted out later that he could not buy a bucket at the Pro-Am today with a crying, laughing emoji. So he's either in pain and trying to make it look like a joke, or he's genuinely just having fun. Players of note that have looked to put some weight on: Gabe Brown, who became a star. Well, not a star, but became going against LSU, where he had a 15-point game in the Sweet 16. Marcus Bingham, who is like the skinniest tall person I've seen since Kevin Durant at Texas, but skinnier. He's put on some noticeable weight, still looks really, really skinny and lanky. He's going to be a guy to keep an eye on. He's a really good shooter at the 4. Joey Hauser, I don't know if he participated. He's a transfer. Enjoy it while you can. We won't be able to watch him this season on the court. So, I don't really know what to say about the basketball team other than there's, honestly, last year I kind of said Final Four or bust. I mean, as a failure, and they made it. Honestly, Austin, I think if they don't win the title this year, I think it's not a failure per se, but a disappointment. So, a lot of pressure on these kids. Izzo is desperately seeking his second title to join names like Coach K and guys like that. So, I'm as excited for basketball season to get here as I am football, which I hate saying that because We always want summer to be here, but when summer's here, we're just like, can we get our football and basketball back, please? So it's definitely going to be a fun rest of the offseason, recruiting-wise, football coming up. For opening night, almost 2 months away exactly. So if you don't have any last words, Austin, if you maybe have a hot take like I did on your show, go ahead and drop it if you want. If not, you can take us out of here.
Michigan State football on offense will be watchable.
Wow. Okay. That honestly kind of is a hot take. I hope so. New OC, Brad Salem, supposedly changing the offense. So until, we'll see. I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah. No, but that's, I think they'll do it. I think they'll have everyone healthy and it'll be watchable. So
that's what I can hope for.
Yeah, exactly. But, as always, and then a quick mention, with July coming up being the dead period, we'll certainly try and piece some stuff together. But if not, don't be too surprised if there's not a July episode. We'll definitely do our best to scrounge some info and content for you guys. But if not, we'll see you guys in August. Wow, March.
March.
Yeah, we're taking like a year-long break. We'll see you guys later.
Well, March Madness, baby. Here we are.
Right, exactly. August, which the start of football is.
You can see the rust on our shows here. I mean, I don't know much about my recruiting class. Austin doesn't even go a month. We're going back in. It's going.
Yeah. It's nasty. So on that note, then, as always, I'm Austin, co-host John Emmons. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you guys next time.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. If you like what you heard tonight, subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Voice of the Fan, and also give us a listen on SoundCloud. And if you could, like our page on Facebook at Voice of the Fan and follow us on Twitter at Voice of the Fan PC. Thanks, everyone.